Hello, this is Slow Night, Sleepy Stories. Have you ever felt exhausted from trying to look good in front of others? Tonight, we step into the bustling world of late Joseon to meet a man named Master Joe. He was a man who had enough wealth to fill a room, yet his heart was always hungry for one thing, a noble title to show off to the world. This story is a humorous satire about his frantic journey to buy honor with money. As you listen to his noisy and busy day, you might find yourself smiling at his foolishness. But at the same time, you will feel a sense of relief that here, in this moment, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You can just be yourself. So now, leave the heavy armor of vanity at the door. Close your eyes and let's watch the world of Master Joe drift by like a distant cloud. The Tale of Scholar Joe. Tar 1. The history of Scholar Joe's family and the growth of Haesung. During the Chunghwa era of the Ming Dynasty, there lived a scholar, Sengwon, in Zhejiang province named Zhou Zhongyang. His family had been officials for generations with a dazzling reputation, but by his time, things did not go as planned due to the times. He returned to his ancestral home, spending his days with nature. He was wealthy, loyal, and benevolent, helping poor relatives and accumulating virtue, earning praise from near and far. Scholar Zhou had one son and one daughter. The eldest daughter was named Hyegyong, and the younger son was named Haesung, later referred to as Hanlim. Although Haesung was still an infant in swaddling clothes, he was so bright and intelligent that the couple loved him like a jewel in their hands. One day, Scholar Joe spoke quietly to his wife, Lady Kim. "Our family has been a lineage of officials for generations, but I remain an old, title-less scholar. However, seeing Haesung's character, he will surely bring glory to the family in the future. How about we move to the capital, Gyeongsong, to help Haesung rise in the world and find a husband for Haegyong?" Lady Kim replied, "Your words are correct, but I am worried about serving the ancestral graves and hesitant to leave our hometown. But how could I go against the three obediences? Please do as you wish." Scholar Joe was greatly pleased and prepared to leave for the capital immediately. He called his servants and commanded, "I am going to the capital with a purpose. You must guard the house well and protect the ancestral graves." They arrived in the capital after several days, settled down, and time passed. By the time Haesung was 10, his appearance and presence were extraordinary, and his talent was such that if he heard one thing, he knew 10. Scholar Joe valued his intelligence and taught him classics day and night. However, the bustling city was not good for studying, so he worried. One day, he sent Haesung back to the main house in Zhejiang to focus on his studies, telling him not to forget his parents' teachings. The token of the white jade ring and meeting Lady Kim. As Haesung prepared to leave with books and writing supplies, Scholar Joe gave him a white jade ring as he bid farewell. "This is a precious treasure passed down through our family. Guard it well." He also ordered the servants, "Serve the young master well on this 1,000-li journey, and if he does wrong, correct him with honest words, so there is no gossip." The parents and sister could not bear to let go of his hand, shedding tears, but eventually, Haesung departed. Haesung arrived at the Zhejiang house after tens of days. The servants welcomed him, praising his growth. He paid respects to the ancestral graves and studied day and night. Within 3 or 4 years, his writing improved greatly, and he became a scholar of outstanding literary talent. It was March, spring, and the flowers were in full bloom. Haesung, missing his parents, took a young servant boy and went out to enjoy the scenery. Suddenly he saw a pavilion with red railings, sing into the air among willow trees. It was clearly a nobleman's house. He went to the back garden and saw a magnificent pavilion named Wanwolu, Pavilion for Enjoying the Moon. Soon, a young lady, Lady Kim, appeared with her maids. Another lady arrived and invited Lady Kim to enjoy the spring scenery. Lady Kim initially refused, citing her longing for her deceased parents, but eventually went up to the pavilion. Haesung hid in the flowers and watched them. The two ladies were breathtakingly beautiful. Lady Kim's face was like the autumn moon, her lips like peonies, and her elegance was beyond description. Haesung was mesmerized, losing his senses, and muttered, "Truly a modest and chaste lady." The visiting lady teased Lady Kim about finding a match, but Lady Kim sternly rebuked her, saying, "A maiden in the women's quarters must be careful with her words." Her cold demeanor was like the north wind. As the sun set, they parted. Hyesung returned home, but could not forget Lady Kim and fell ill with lovesickness. Song 3. Lady Kim's story and the matchmaking. Lady Kim was the daughter of Kim Jeon. Her parents died early, and she lived with her grandfather along with her younger brother. When bandits raided Shandong, she fled with her wet nurse, Chunsang, climbing over the back wall. In the chaos, she lost track of her brother and servants. Returning home, she found it burnt to the ground. With nowhere to go, she went to live with her maternal uncle, Jong Suk-do, Shaler Jong. Back at his house, Hyesung could not sleep. He asked an old servant whose house was to the east. The servant replied it was the house of Shaler Jong Suk-do, a man with no interest in government office, who had no son but one daughter. The servant explained that Jong also had a niece, Lady Kim, living with him, who was known as a matchless beauty. Hearing this, Hyesung realized the lady he saw was likely Lady Kim. He worried about how to propose since his parents were far away. Meanwhile, Lady Kim was sad because she had been relying on her uncle for her ancestors' memorial services. She decided to prepare the rites herself and sent her maid Chunsang to the market to sell a scroll she had made. Chunsang could not find a buyer and was returning when she stopped in front of a grand house. It was Hyesung's house. Hyesung overheard Chunsang talking to his servant and called her in. Hyesung recognized Chunsang in the scroll. He asked about her mistress. Chunsang explained Lady Kim's situation, that she was selling the scroll to fund her ancestors' memorial rites. Moved by pity, Hyesung gave her 50 taels of silver along with the scroll, telling her to use it for the rites. When Chunsang returned and gave the silver to Lady Kim was furious. She scolded Chunsang, saying, "How could you accept money from a stranger, especially a man, without even selling the item? This is an insult to a secluded lady." She ordered Chunsang to return the money immediately. Chunsang went back to Hyesung and returned the silver. Hyesung, feeling embarrassed but impressed, said, "I have a sister, so I will buy the scroll for her." He took the scroll and gave 50 taels plus an extra 50. Lady Kim accepted this as a legitimate transaction and gave the money to her uncle for the rites. Her uncle was surprised but praised her resourcefulness. Nom 4. The proposal and marriage. Hyesung visited Scholar Jong. After polite conversation, Hyesung asked if there was anyone to continue the lineage of the late Kim Jeon. Scholar Jong lamented that the son was lost and he was raising the niece. Hyesung then respectfully proposed marriage to Lady Kim. Scholar Jong was happy but concerned that Hyesung's father was in the capital and couldn't preside over the marriage. Hyesung replied, "When I came down here, my father gave me a white jade ring and told me to use it as a betrothal gift if I met a virtuous lady." Scholar Jong agreed. However, his wife, Lady Kim's aunt, wanted Hyesung for her own daughter because of his wealth and talent. Scholar Jong ignored her jealousy and proceeded with Lady Kim's marriage. Hyesung sent the white jade ring as a formal gift. On the wedding day, Hyesung's dignity and the bride's beauty were praised by all. They spent a blissful wedding night. Hyesung loved Lady Kim dearly. Soon after, his father summoned him to the capital for the state examination. 5. Hyesung's success and the emperor's command, Hyesung had to leave. He held Lady Kim's hands and wept, saying, "I go not for fame but to obey my father. Protect yourself and wait for my return." Lady Kim encouraged him to succeed and honor his parents. Hyesung arrived in the capital and reunited with his parents. He took the state exam and wrote a brilliant essay. The emperor was so impressed that he appointed Hyesung as a Hanlim scholar. However, Hyesung could not tell his parents about his marriage to Lady Kim. While he was visiting his ancestors' graves, the emperor called him back and said, "I have a granddaughter, the Princess Huju. She lacks virtue, but she can serve you. Do not refuse." Hyesung was terrified. He couldn't refuse the emperor, but he couldn't abandon Lady Kim. He fell gravely ill from the distress. A doctor diagnosed him, saying, "This illness comes from a person. Unless he sees that person, no medicine will help." Hyesung's sister, Lady Jo, begged him to speak. Hyesung finally confessed that he had married Lady Kim in Jejiang and that the emperor's forced marriage command had made him sick with guilt. Scholar Jo was furious at his son for marrying without permission, but, seeing his son dying, agreed to bring Lady Kim. He sent a servant with a letter. Lady Kim received the letter but refused to come, writing back, "You deceived a maiden with a ring and married without your parents' knowledge. This is unfilial. I cannot bring shame to my ancestors by following a servant to a house where I am not acknowledged." Scholar Joe was impressed by her integrity and wrote a polite letter acknowledging her as his daughter-in-law and apologizing. Lady Kim then agreed to come. Tar 6. Lady Kim's arrival and conflict with Huju. Lady Kim arrived in Seoul. Her beauty and virtue astonished everyone. Scholar Joe's wife said, "No wonder our son fell ill from lovesickness." Lady Kim nursed the emaciated Hyesung. She rebuked him for falling ill over a woman instead of focusing on his duties, but her presence cured him. Hyesung recovered completely in 10 days. However, the emperor commanded the marriage to Huju, the princess, to proceed. Huju, hearing of Hyesung's existing wife, insisted on marrying him anyway, saying she would accept the position of a second wife if necessary. Hyesung was forced to marry Huju. Scholar Joe worried that Huju, being royalty, would mistreat Lady Kim. Lady Kim promised to serve Huju with respect. After the wedding to Huju, Hyesung brought her home. Everyone was awed by Lady Kim's beauty, which surpassed even the princesses. Huju's wet nurse, Nurse Yun, whispered to Huju that Lady Kim was a threat and that Huju must assert dominance. Hyesung spent his nights with Lady Kim, ignoring Huju. This enraged Huju. Lady Kim urged him to visit Huju, but he refused, saying he only followed Huju's commands to enter her room out of obligation. Huju's jealousy grew daily. 7. The plot. Death of the first child. Lady Kim gave birth to a son. The family was overjoyed. Huju, consumed by jealousy, told Nurse Yun, "Everyone loves Kim's son, and I am treated like an old shoe. I cannot bear this resentment." Nurse Yun suggested, "If we kill the child, your troubles will end." They bribed Eng, a maid of Hyesung's sister, with gold. One day, when Lady Kim's maid Chun-sang briefly left the baby on a pavilion to get water, Eng sneaked in and crushed the baby's chest with a large stone. The baby died. The family was devastated. They suspected Huju's involvement, but had no proof. Lady Kim and Hyesung's sister, Lady Jo, convinced the men not to torture the servants to avoid condemning innocent people. The second child in the mind-altering drug. The next year, Lady Kim gave birth to a second son named Songjin. He was a beautiful child. Huju's hatred grew. Meanwhile, Hyesung's sister, Lady Jo, married into the Lee family. Hyesung's father was appointed governor of Zhejiang and took the whole family, including Huju and Lady Kim, back to his hometown. Huju complained to Nurse Yun again. Nurse Yun went to her brother, Yun Hong, who told her about a mind-altering pill, Gesimdan, that could change a person's heart. Huju spent thousands of gold pieces to buy it. Huju secretly fed the drug to Hyesung. After being sick for 10 days, Hyesung woke up a changed man. He frowned at Lady Kim and looked at Huju with pure joy. He treated Lady Kim like an enemy and adored Huju. 9. The plot. Death of the second child and expulsion. Hyesung's sister, visiting from her in-laws, scolded Hyesung for mistreating Lady Kim, but he dismissed her, saying the mere thought of Lady Kim made him shudder. Huju gave birth to a son, but the child vomited blood and died suddenly after a few months. Huju screamed, "This is the work of a wicked person. Avenge my son." She blamed Lady Kim. Nurse Yun then forged a letter using Lady Kim's handwriting, which she had practiced. The letter was addressed to a lover, claiming that Lady Kim had killed Huju's child and planned to destroy the Jo family to be with him. Eng planted the letter under Hyesung's desk. When Hyesung found it, the drug-induced madness took over. He was furious. He dragged Lady Kim out, accused her of adultery and murder, and ordered her execution. He then decided to expel her instead to keep the shame quiet. He destroyed her ancestral shrine and kicked her out of the house. Lady Kim, holding her father's spirit tablet and pregnant with a third child, wrote a blood letter to Hyesung's sister declaring her innocence and left. 10. Lady Kim's suicide attempt and rescue. Lady Kim returned to her uncle's house in Zhejiang. Her uncle had passed away, and her aunt, Lady Zhang, was cruel. Lady Zhang tried to sell Lady Kim to a wealthy libertine named Kang Chang. Despairing, Lady Kim decided to die. That night, an old man appeared in her dream and told her, "Do not be too sad. Go to Mount Gumgang. There is someone who will save you." Lady Kim and Chun-sang fled to Mount Gumgang. they found a pavilion named Gumgang Hoisimjong. Lady Kim wrote her tragic story on a pillar and jumped into the river to drown. A man named Minister Ryu was fishing nearby. He had a dream telling him to save a drowning person. He rushed to the river and pulled Lady Kim out. She was alive. Minister Ryu and his wife took her in. Upon hearing her story, they pitied her and adopted her as their own daughter. Number 11. Reunion of Siblings and Future Promise. Lady Kim gave birth to Hyeseong's third son, named Yoongyong. Minister Ryu had one son, but he was sad because the boy was adopted. He told Lady Kim, "I found a boy on the road 10 years ago. He is bright, but he misses his real parents." He revealed the boy's name was Kim Do-sung, and his father was Kim Juk-do. Lady Kim realized this was her long-lost brother. She confirmed it by checking his handwriting. The siblings reunited in tears. Minister Ryu was overjoyed. 12. Father's Return and Truth Revealed. Hyeseong's sister, Lady Jo, returned home to find Lady Kim gone. Hyeseong told her, "I kicked that wicked woman out." Lady Jo was furious. She investigated and detained Eng. Scholar Jo, now governor, returned from his duties. He demanded to know where Lady Kim was. When told she was expelled for crimes, he was suspicious. Lady Jo brought Eng forward. Under severe torture, Eng confessed. "Nurse Yoon bribed me, killed the first baby with a stone. We forged the letter." Nurse Yoon was also tortured and confessed to buying the mind-altering pill from her brother. Scholar Jo arrested Yoon Hong and reported everything to the emperor. The emperor ordered Yoon Hong executed. Regarding Hooju, the emperor said, "She is my granddaughter, so I cannot kill her, but you may deal with her according to your family law." Scholar Jo wanted to kill Hooju, but Songjin, Lady Kim's second son, begged for her life. Hooju was spared death but imprisoned in the backyard for life. Songjin continued to treat her with filial piety. 13. Reunion at Mount Gumgang. Hyeseong, now free of the drug's influence, was consumed by guilt. Hearing a rumor that a Lady Kim had drowned at Mount Gumgang, he decided to go there to perform a memorial service, Suryukjae. Meanwhile, Lady Kim's son, Yoongyong, now 10, wanted to find his father. Lady Kim gave him the white jade ring, saying, "Show this to your father. If he sees it, he will know you." Hyeseong and Songjin arrived at Mount Gumgang. They found the writing on the pavilion pillar and realized it was indeed Lady Kim. They wept bitterly. They went to Cheongnam Hermitage to pray. There, they met Yoongyong and Do-sung. The boys realized they looked alike. They swore brotherhood. Yoongyong showed the white jade ring to Hyeseong. Hyeseong recognized it and realized his wife and son were alive. He cried out, "I thought the heavenly bond was severed, but here it is again." 14. The Emotional Reunion. Hyeseong went to Minister Ryu's house. He met Minister Ryu and realized that Minister Ryu was actually his wife's uncle by marriage. Ryu's wife was Lady Kim's aunt. Hyeseong entered the room and saw Lady Kim. He knelt and begged for forgiveness. Lady Kim wept. Hyeseong explained that the emperor had allowed Hooju to be punished, but they spared her life. Lady Kim, ever virtuous, asked for Hooju to be forgiven and restored to her position, but Hyeseong refused to let Hooju be the primary wife again. Grand finale. Lady Kim returned to the Jo family. She was welcomed with tears of joy by Hyeseong's parents. She forgave Hooju and asked that she be treated kindly. Hyeseong's father resigned from office, and the whole family moved back to the countryside in Jejiang. Minister Ryu also moved there to be with them. Both couples, Scholar Jo's and Minister Ryu's, lived long, happy lives. Lady Kim had 4 sons and 1 daughter, and Hooju had 2 sons and 1 daughter. All their descendants became high-ranking officials, and the Jo family prospered greatly. Thank you for reading this interesting book. If you wish to see more interesting books, please look at the catalog of Beyoncé Publishing House at the back of this book and place an order. End of the tale of Scholar Jo.